Mike Pendleton here with SureDog.com. And as much as I've brought PFL, Bellator content to you all throughout the year, finally checking it off the bucket list, got the opportunity. The soon champ. She's one fight away. She is the one and only dangerous Dakota Ditcheva. I mean, been on an absolute tear. You know, people are going to say what they want about fighter of the year and this and that. I don't know anyone who's on a more of a meteorical rise like yourself, Dakota, and just believed it the entire time. First and foremost, thank you for your time. I truly appreciate you. What has this experience been like with the PFL for you?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I've loved this season. It's been a lot, don't get me wrong. It's been non-stop. I feel like it's been more of a lifestyle than a fight camp every time. It's just been like non-stop all year. But I've enjoyed it a lot, yeah, for sure.
And talking about that lifestyle, I think a lot of that falls into place with the seasonal format, right? It's the toughest test in MMA as they have branded it. You know, this is not you'll fight once or maybe twice a year. You know, someone like yourself is fighting four times a year. And when you have to not only know that in order to achieve your goals of becoming a world champion, you have to fight four times a year. How much time is spent just keeping yourself mentally and physically healthy rather than focusing on skill set?
The full time. The full time. For sure. You have to be mentally on it all the time. You can't be slacking at all. I think, yeah, you just have to have, I think for me, having the right people around me, the right team, having a lot of athletes, fighters that have done the tournament before, give me advice. That's been a massive help for me. So the days where you go in the gym and you're like, wow, I'm tired, like this is a lot. It's just been like, yeah, I've got the people there to be like, it's fine, it's another day, tomorrow's another day, like just keep going, keep pushing. Yeah. Or you've got, the people in there, go and take a day off. It's not going to make a difference. You've been in this fight camp since February, like, one day off's not going to hurt you, whereas they're the things that I probably wouldn't give myself. So to have that kind of support around me has been really like crucial.
As your stardom continues to rise on your path to a world title, so has the media obligations, the sponsorships, all of that. What has working with great sponsors like Celsius, working alongside the
Yeah.
PFL to put you in a place to really not just become a superstar because of all that you're doing, but in a sense, yeah, you got to do a little bit more media, but you still get to focus on the task at hand and everything's kind of brought to the table for you. Whether like rather in other promotions, they're like, I don't know if you get there, maybe we'll make you a superstar. You and PFL work so well together as a team. How's that been just taking in all the kind of different angles that you've had to deal with as you continue to succeed?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think PFL are great as a promotion at doing that, at looking after athletes, with sponsorships and things. The brand deals that they kind of bring into PFL and then share out between the fighters is amazing. I think that's one thing that I really struggled with at the start of my career. And I think a lot of young fighters will, is the fact that they have to work in order to pay for training, you know, um, recovery, food. Like it's tough. It really is tough at the start when you haven't got them sponsors to kind of give you that little bit of support, give you that little bit of money so that you don't have to worry each day about going to work. You can just focus fully on, you know, um, training and getting better. So I think when I got into partnership with PFL and signed with them, and they started bringing the brands like Celsius as well, which is what I drink all the time, that extra little boost during training. So it's like perfect, really relatable brands that we can work with. Was just a game changer for me. It took a lot of pressure off my shoulders, and yeah, I've seen like the most progression ever that I've ever had as a fighter through this year. So it definitely makes a difference.
And I'm going to ask you about Taila Santos, November 29th, PFL World Championship. But having the first chance to talk to you, there's so much I want the world to get to really know about you. Besides the fact four first round finishes in a row, you've done everything you've set out to do. Let's talk about where you're at in Florida, right? Training at American Top Team. It's no secret.
Yeah.
If you just follow social media, if you know anything about that gym, the women of that gym are so much like a family. A relationship with somebody I have a very good relationship with, Conan Silvera, your coach. What is it about American Top Team? When I just say those words to you, American Top Team, what does it mean to you as you progress every day throughout your career?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a little bit like surreal, me thinking like I'm at American Top Team. Like I don't even know how I ended up here, how it happened. Like I know like I'm very lucky to be here. That's one thing I know. But it's just amazing that I'm around all these amazing athletes and coaches. You know, Conan is obviously my head coach. The support he gives me, not just in the gym, but like mentally, you know, the amount he believes in me, is really special and something I've always had to find in my coach because I've always had that from my mum. You know, with her being my coach in Thai boxing, the transition over to MMA had to feel right. You know, moving to another gym and being able to be coached by someone else. I needed somebody to fill that role that my mum had. Even though she's still very much involved, I still needed, you know, the same amount of trust and, you know, belief in that person. So I definitely found that at American Top Team. And as well, I'm the type of fighter that kind of, or the type of athlete that wants humbling all the time. Like, you know, I want to win some rounds, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to win every round. You know, I want to be like tested. I want somebody to tap me out in the gym and, you know, to be put in bad positions and to have tough rounds, you know, give me a black eye or, you know, that's kind of what makes fighters better. I'm not here kind of to run through everyone and just feel the best in the gym. And that's what I get there. You know, I get tested every single session with not just females, but males as well. But at the same time, we're all just one big family. We're all still like, we might hit each other on the mat and then we'll get off and we're still like friends. So it's definitely an amazing gym. And it's kind of moving over here. When I first came to Top Team, I think it was in 2022, it was like my life changed forever. It'll be something that I'll always be grateful for.
We've seen what you've done, and before I get into the match, I've just got two more that when I watch your career progress, these are the two things I was like, if I get to talk to Dakota, these are the two questions I have, right? And
Okay.
as you watch your career progress, we've seen what you've done in PFL Europe. We've seen, like I said earlier, this meteoric rise, you know, to where you are right now with the PFL. Have you had a moment moving from the UK over to Florida, going through the 2024 PFL World, you know, global season? Have you had that moment to sit back and just reflect and tell yourself, maybe this is everything you expected out of yourself, but you are in the position that you are? And what has that conversation meant to you internally?
I wouldn't say there's like a set time where I've kind of sat myself down and been like, like think about where you are type thing. There's probably multiple moments throughout the last 2 years that I've done that and had to remind myself. Again, I'm very much a person that's kind of just straight to the next goal. And like the day after the fight, I'm like, okay, stop talking about it now, it's done. Like I'm honestly that person, you know, like I'm not one that will carry my belt around forever. Like, okay, I've won this belt now. I'll probably be like, what's next? You know, so I definitely do have to slow myself down a little bit. And it's funny because my mom, my brothers, my dad, everybody will always say that to me, like, slow down, like, you know, you wanted all these things to happen, but the stuff that's happening now that's just happened to you, you wanted months ago. So like it's really hard. The sport moves fast, and you can't kind of wait around and admire your work forever. So it's hard for me to find that balance of being proud of myself and like soaking it in, and then moving on to the next thing. So I'm definitely very proud and very grateful for the position I'm in now. But I don't know whether I'll ever be satisfied. That's one thing I do always say.
Well, it does move fast, and you move fast to finish fights. And after the last one, we saw you silence the crowd, and it's something that you're not afraid to speak on, which as much as I'm like, I wonder if she has these self-reflection moments, I'm also like, I wonder what goes through her mind after like the high of finishing an opponent, right? Because you've heard it time and time again, and as motivated as you are to become a world champion, how much of that kind of inner self-pride you have to be like, I didn't ask for all of this hype. I'm just
Yeah.
doing the job. Just watch and appreciate, or shut up and let me do my job.
That is basically what I think. Honestly, that's what I think. But I also understand the sport and the fans, and without all of that, I wouldn't be able to achieve and, you know, make the money that I'm making and, you know, achieve the goals and things like that. So everything comes as a package, and you have to accept that as a fighter. So for me, my little 1 minute on the mic after the fight satisfies like everything else. So I can take like all the shit beforehand, and I can take like people talking about me and this, that, and the other. Like I switch off to all that because honestly, I don't really care. But then it must just all come out in that 1 minute when I get hold of the mic. And then the next day I'm like, why didn't you take that off me? Why did you let me see that? I'm always like that. But I suppose, again, like that 1 minute on the mic kind of goes the most viral. So it just shows kind of what's important in this sport. And you've got to be a little bit of a character. So if me saying a few funny lines is kind of going to promote PFL and the show a little bit more and myself, then I'll take it. I'll just be mortified the next day.
Well, in comparison to what you're doing inside the PFL Smart Cage and what you're saying on the mic, I don't know which one goes more viral.
Yes, I said that to
Well,
me.
that means that we should be all watching and preparing on November 29th when you face Taila Santos. And I'm not going to sit here and ask you the same question you've been asked 100 times. And she's a veteran, and the difference in experience and
Yeah.
her being in the UFC. I'm going to ask you simply this. I know you believe in yourself. I know you believe in the team and coaches that you have. What should the world expect when you step inside the cage opposite Taila Santos?
Just expect what you've seen all year because that is what I'm going to do. It's going to be an amazing fight. She's a fighter I used to watch in the UFC. I know exactly who I'm getting in with. I'm not underestimating her at all. I have full respect for her, but at the same time, honestly, I don't think I can stop myself when I get in that cage. So just expect what you've been seeing the whole time.
I absolutely love it. Now we've talked about PFL Europe. We've talked about what he's done at the PFL global stage. What challenge you on November 30th, right? We've seen everything that the PFL is booming business with the super fights
Yeah.
pay-per-view. I'm sure you've been asked this as well. What challenges you next? If you do everything you expect to do, what would be your biggest challenges in 2025?
Yeah, I don't know. I have thought about this a little bit. It's one thing I say is it's got to make sense. I've got to keep going up. I think Talia and Liz Carmouche were the two probably names that PFL put in this tournament to probably halt me a little bit and slow me down, and it didn't work. So I don't know. Afterwards, it needs to be a fight that's kind of going to be pushing me up. A lot of the fights, people are probably going to say, what's the point in this fight? Like when you beat Talia. So I definitely want a few more tough opponents. And I don't know whether maybe they'll want me to do the tournament again. I don't know. I feel like I bring enough eyes and enough, kind of, yeah, enough eyes to the sport to be on like a one fight, one big name against me and, do it that way. So maybe I'll get on a pay-per-view event. We'll see. I'm not thinking too far ahead. I'm sure PFL will come up with amazing opportunities. They always do. So I'm trusting that we'll get our heads together and come up with something special.
I know you've had the PFL European Gold, but what would the PFL Global World Title mean to Dakota Ditcheva? Not just the fighter, but the woman.
Yeah, wow. What would it mean to me? Everything, to be honest, everything. That belt is kind of the most important thing to me. I think for myself, my own confidence, um, just for my own mind, like when I win this world title and then beat Talia Santos for it, I think it's just going to be massive for me. And I think it'll give me, not that I haven't got any confidence now, but it'll give me a lot of confidence. So I'll kind of be like, who's next? Like I always am, I suppose. But yeah, I'm excited. This is a really big like a milestone in my career, that I'm really excited for and definitely ready for, and probably what 2 years ago we planned for. So to see it all come together and be at this point now is very special for sure.
Just a couple more. I'm going to get you out of here. Just talking about everything that we have today and just following your career. Yes, you're very much a superstar. You're one fight away from becoming a world champion. But if I could credit you and the PFL together for one thing, I think in a sport where still women are scratching and clawing to get the same respect as the male athletes, the male competitors in this sport, I think PFL has absolutely, as well as yourself, have made you the face of PFL for women mixed martial artists as a whole, no matter the promotion. How much pride do you take, not just representing the PFL, but women who want to be fighters, who fight to be world champions?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely worked together really well as a team. I think it helps that I fight well as well.
Yeah.
I'm not the typical looking fighter as well, so I think a lot of different factors I bring to PFL that have really worked with promoting women's sport, and because of the story with my mum probably as well. I just feel like everything's kind of pushing us in the right direction, and PFL are great with treating fighters really well. So. I think the opportunities that are going to come for next year are going to be like amazing. So I'm excited to keep working with them and seeing what they can keep coming up with.
Well, for people like myself who follow PFL and cover PFL and Bellator religiously, I'd be very happy to have you along for the ride, even with more
Oh, thank
confidence.
you.
Speaking of PFL, though, you were on stage with a man who will be in the spotlight this weekend in the world of combat sports, specifically boxing. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. I gotta ask you, I gotta get your opinion on it. How do you think that fight goes?
I can't actually believe it's happening. I actually can't believe it's actually here. I've been watching it all day today, like, what the hell? These guys have weighed in like they're ready to go. I'm gonna go and watch it tomorrow for sure. But yeah, honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's still like a little bit like, wow, this is actually happening. So, I mean, Tyson looks really up for it, doesn't he? But Tyson, like, okay, may the best guy win.
I can't say anything because I'm not a fighter like yourself, right? But I
I
feel
don't
like
want to
there's
say
something
anything
within
either.
a fighter that you can't say anything to them, right? They choose to
Yeah,
fight, that's what's going to happen.
this is the thing. Yeah, they both want to get in. They're both fit to get in. So okay, like, did you see that thing Jake had on his ear? You know, because
Yeah.
like Tyson had like
I
bits.
mean, he's playing in the 2024. He knows
You
he knows
know,
how to steal a show.
yeah, fair play because that guy he knows how to bring the eyes into the sport, and what he's doing is just like something that not a lot of people can do. So fair play, you know. The crowd that's going to be there to watch that fight and the build up has just been like crazy. So fair play to him.
Dakota, now that we've been talking as I wrap this up, I just want to ask if maybe we can get real for a second. You mentioned it in a moment ago. You said, not only the way I fight, but I also don't just look like a regular fighter or how a fighter is supposed to look. I think the PFL and some of their talent, production talent, they did a very good job in telling your story properly in a she may look this way, but she fights this way, but it doesn't change who she is with where we are as a society with social media and all of this, I know you don't care about the outside noise, but do you have any thoughts to what people say about how you're supposed to look or how you're supposed to act when really you're just a strong woman who's one fight away from becoming a world champion?
Yeah, I mean, I do think about it, and that's why I kind of, make sure I express like myself however I want. If I want to dress girly, I make sure I do that. I don't let like the social media influence, the way I am as a person. I kind of stick to how I've always been, from a little girl, there's photos of me in a football kit, but my high heels on at the same time. I've always had that like mix, and it's important for me that I show both sides because I enjoy both sides. So, um, yeah, it's just something that I don't necessarily like get too caught up in, trying to prove people wrong. Like, just be myself. If that annoys some people, it annoys some people. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just more more bothered about who it's influencing, the young girls that kind of want to do both. And you see it more and more now. A lot of the girls in boxing, they're kind of turning up to the weigh-ins and fight weeks in their own outfits. They're still showing their own style. And I like that. I think that's what everyone should do, just be yourself. We don't have to put it in people's faces and like, say, I should be able to do this and I should be able to do that. Just be yourself. Then just show people how you want. For me, like I'll turn up to fight week again this week in my own outfits. I'll slam my sports gear. I'll wear pink. I might wear all black, or I'll just wear what I want and keep expressing myself through that. And I think that's the main thing for me.
Well, I credit you for all that you have done. I credit the PFL for the stage and spotlight that they've given you, and you've ran with it. Dakota, I
Yeah.
said to start this conversation, interviewing you this year was on top of my bucket list, and it's been
Aw.
an absolute home run. I just think your story is not told correctly, and I don't know that everyone's giving you the right opportunity to tell it. So hopefully you've enjoyed this
Yeah.
conversation as much as I have.
Yeah.
It's been a blast to cover you throughout this season. I look forward to doing it for years to come. November 29th, Dakota
Thank
Ditcheva,
you.
Taila Santos, ESPN, ESPN Plus. Thank you so much. We cannot wait to see this fight.
Thank you.
Thank you.